Baruchot habaot, ladies, and welcome to our Ohel Sarah class for this week. And I also want to extend a welcome to all the viewers on Torah Anytime. Thank you so much for graciously logging on every single week to watch these shiurim, to enhance your life with Kedusha and Tahara, with Divrei Torah. I know that it's not easy for some of you. Some of you women are working, some of you are housewives, and you're busy all day long with so many good things. The whole week you're occupied with Avodat HaKodesh, with your tremendous good work as a Jewish woman in Am Yisrael, and yet you find the time to log on and to be a part of this amazing experience of Torah learning for women. I just want to say this week, you and I are going to be alone, meaning we have our own alone time. And I figure that as we approach the yahrzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Alav Shalom, which is coming up next week today, a week from today at night, Wednesday night and Thursday. Rabbi Shimon, as you know, was one of the greatest Tanaim that the Jewish world has ever known. So I felt it's incumbent upon us to learn about a powerful revelation that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai shared that will help us combat the current galut and the influences of this galut. What's important to know is that Rabbi Shimon's revelation actually takes us back to a story in Sefer Bereshit. Yaakov Avinu Alav Shalom meets with his two wives, Rachel and Leah, away from Lavan, in the middle of the field somewhere without anybody knowing, and he expresses his deep concern, his feelings that to continue to live with their father Lavan is no longer an option for him and the family. He reminds them of Lavan's schemes and deceptions, his immoral behavior, and together they agree that it's time to leave after 22 years of being in Lavan's surroundings, but they leave without Lavan's knowledge, without him knowing. When Lavan finds out that Yaakov left with the whole family without notifying him, he's infuriated, and he runs after Yaakov with the intentions of doing him and the entire family harm. But in the middle of the night, Lavan receives a heavenly message via a dream where HaKadosh Baruch Hu warns him not to dare touch Yaakov or harm him in any way. So the following morning, Lavan sets off on his mission anyhow in order to try another tactic against Yaakov. So I won't harm him this way, I got to find a way to harm him another way. When he meets with Yaakov, they come to an understanding and they make a pact between them, a brit. This pact is what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Alav Shalom addresses. So let's read the psukim and then discover the lessons that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wanted us to draw out from this entire episode. Lavan tells Yaakov, Ve'ata lecha nichreta brit ani ve'ata. And now let us form a covenant, me and you. V'haya le'ed beni uvenecha. And that covenant is going to be a witness between me and you. Yaakov agrees, but he does the following. Vayikach Yaakov even vayerimeha matzeva. Yaakov took a stone and he set it up as a monument. Vayomer Yaakov le'achav, and Yaakov said to his kinsmen, his family members, those who were with him, Liktu avanim, I want you to gather stones. Vayikhu avanim, vayasu gal, vayachlu sham al hagal. They gathered the stones, they made a pile, and they ate there by this pile, this gal. Vayaakov karalo gal ed. And Yaakov called that place where they erected the pile of stones Gal Ed, because it was meant to be, that pile was meant to be an Ed, a witness of the pact between him and Lavan. And then Lavan says, Hagal hazeh Ed Beni uvencha hayom. This pile of stones is a witness between me and you today. Ed hagal hazeh ve'eda hamatzeva. This pile is a witness, and the monument is a witness. A witness to what? A witness to what? Im ani lo e'evor elecha et hagal hazeh. That I will not pass this pile to come to you, to go to you. ואם אתה לא תעבור אליי את הגל הזה ואת המצבה הזאת לרעה. And that you will not pass that pile and this monument to come to me either to do harm. That's the pact. That's the agreement. I'm not going to cross this pile, this, so to speak, line, and you won't cross it either to do harm to one another. What are these psukim all about? Why is this pile, this monument, this gal, so significant? The Holy Balatani Alav Shalom writes that embedded in the words Ed Hagal Hazeh, this pile is a witness, there is a remez, there is a hint, the Lag Ba'omer. How do we see that? He says because the word Gal, the letters Gimel and Lamed, are the same as Lag, Lamed Gimel. That means that in Sefer Bereshit, in this story with Lavan and Yaakov and this gal, this pile of stones that was erected, Rabbi Shimon's yahrzeit is encoded right there. The essence and the celebration of Lag Ba'omer and the significance of Lag Ba'omer, it's embedded in this story. Very interesting. But I want to know the connection between this gal, this pile that Yaakov erected, which became a monument, and Lag Ba'omer. I mean, we do have to understand what happened at this meeting between Lavan and Yaakov, because what possessed Lavan to want to enter into a brit, into a pact with Yaakov, especially when the author of the Haggadah of Pesach makes it very clear what Lavan's plans for us really were and how much he hated us. It says it straight out in the Haggadah. It says, "Velavan bikesh la'akor et hakol." Lavan's plan was to uproot Am Yisrael completely from its roots and to be rid of them forever. Had HaKadosh Baruch Hu not warned Lavan about not harming Yaakov, who knows what he would have done to him and the entire family. So we have to understand what drove Lavan to want to make a pact with Yaakov when he hated him so much. Ladies, in many holy Sfarim we're taught that the enemies of Am Yisrael have two ways in which they do battle with us. Two ways in which they attempt to destroy Am Yisrael. One way is through a physical, emotional, and mental war, where they physically, mentally, and emotionally antagonize us, imprison us, and torture us in all kinds of ways in order to crush us physically, meaning to eradicate us. But the second tactic they use in order to bring about our destruction, chaz v'shalom, is that of shalom, peace. They pretend to want to make peace with the Jewish nation in order to influence them to leave the Torah and to assimilate. That is what David HaMelech Alav Shalom writes in Sefer Tehillim in Perek Kuf Vav. He says, "Vayitarvu bagoim, vayilmedu mima'asehem." And the Jewish nation unfortunately mingled with the nations of the world, and they learned from their ways. And that's something that's strengthened by Rashi HaKadosh Alav Shalom, who reminds us the words and the Midrash, the words of the Midrash, words that interestingly, very interestingly, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said them. What did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai say? It says in the Midrash, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, Halacha hi beyadua she'esav soneh leYaakov. Rabbi Shimon says, it is a known maximum. It's a determined law, so to speak, that Esav and the descendants of Esav despise Yaakov and Yaakov's descendants. It's a fact. There's nothing to do about it. It's something that is, like the laws of nature are set in motion, so too is this maximum. Halacha beyadua she'esav soneh leYaakov. That means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a situation where rooted in the nation of Esav is a deep hatred for Am Yisrael. In their blood. It's in their blood, so to speak. Why did Hashem do this? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do this? Chachamim tell us he did this to prevent Am Yisrael from being corrupted from Esav's ways. So in order to prevent us from falling prey to Esav's immoral habits and the decadence of that society, HaKadosh Baruch Hu protected us. How did he protect us? By saying to it that Esav and his descendants have a deep-rooted hatred towards us, and that obvious hatred is going to cause us not to want to mingle with them, not to want to be like them, or learn from their depraved ways. If you see that somebody hates you with a passion and he wants your destruction, are you going to want to get close to that person? No. Now, I want to know what this has to do with the gal, with the pile of stones that Yaakov Avinu erected. What does this have to do with Lag BaOmer and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? So before we even begin to answer these questions, I want you to notice how vast and expansive the Torah is, the Torah Kedosha. Look how many areas of Torah we've discussed just in the last few minutes. All of the items that we just spoke about took us from one end of the Torah to the other end of the Torah. We have the story of Yaakov Avinu with Lavan in Sefer Bereshit. We have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai during the times of the Tanaim. We're speaking about words from the Haggadah of Pesach, the Midrashim, Rashi HaKadosh, the Baal HaTanya. Wow! Do you understand how expansive, how deep and vast the Torah is? We're pulling commentaries and concepts from so many different parts, we'll say, of the globe and different spectrums of Torah. So let's begin. In the Gemara of Shabbat, there are 32 passages that contain the teachings of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and that's how the Chachamim set it up. 32 passages. On the 33rd page, the Lag page, Lag is 33, Lamed Gimel is 33. On the Lag page, the 33rd page, we find a very interesting teaching where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is speaking negatively about the Roman government. You see, one day, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was sitting with his fellow Tanaim who were giants of Torah in their own right. He was sitting there with Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, Alav Shalom, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yossi. These names are like fire. And on that day, they were discussing the improvements that the Roman government made to the country. They built new roads, they built bridges, they erected public bathhouses, and they're excited about it. Wow, look what they did. It made it so easy for us, convenient for us. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was not impressed by any of these new improvements. And he said to them, Kol ma shetiknu lo tiknu elav letzorech atzman. You should know that whatever the Romans constructed, whatever they built, was only for their own benefit. That's what he says. Unfortunately, there was a man named Yehuda ben Gerim who heard this conversation outside the window, and he repeated it to the wrong party. Lo and behold, eventually the Roman government found out about Rabbi Shimon's derogatory statements, which were considered treasonous, of course, and they put a bounty on his head. That's the reason, by the way, why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son Rabbi Elazar had to run away and were forced to hide in a cave for 12 years. They were running away from the Roman government who was after them. But at the same time that they were in hiding, because they were completely secluded from the rest of the world, in that cave, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai reached very, very exalted and lofty levels of Kiddusha and Ruchaniyut, of spirituality and holiness, and he was able to learn very, very deep concepts in Torah, hidden treasures of information that came down to him from Shamayim, sometimes from Malachim themselves, and all those concepts that were taught to him in that cave, that were revealed to him, they later became the work known as the Holy Zohar, the Zohar HaKadosh. So this 33rd passage in the Gemara, the Lag passage that discusses Rabbi Shimon's derogatory statements against the Roman Empire, who we know are descendants of Esav, that 33rd passage, the Lag page of the Gemara, is somehow connected to Yaakov's Gal that he erected. The question is, how is it connected? What's the connection? So let's go back to Sefer Bereshit and to the question we asked earlier of what possessed Lavan to want to make a pact, a brit with Yaakov, when it's a known maximum that Esav soneh leYaakov, that Esav inherently hates Yaakov. If Lavan hated Am Yisrael so much, why would he want to have a formal brit and make a pact with us? Chachamim explain that when Lavan realized that all the twisted ideas and the morbid plans that he had in mind to destroy Yaakov and Am Yisrael, they were not going to work. And they weren't going to work because HaKadosh Baruch Hu warned him very clearly in that dream not to harm Yaakov. So his first preference, his first plan of waging a physical battle against Yaakov and all the tortures that he had in mind for Am Yisrael were no longer an option for him. He was warned, you better not. Well, what other option did he have? Other than killing Yaakov physically together with the whole family. Well, we learned there are two routes by which the enemy destroys us once it destroys us. So he took the second route that we discussed earlier. He decided to wage a spiritual battle and fight against the Kiddusha of Yaakov, the spirituality of Yaakov, and crush the spirit of Yaakov. How is he going to do that? By making a brit between him and Yaakov. By making a seemingly peaceful pact between his descendants and Yaakov's descendants. And as a result of this pact, it might create a closeness between the Jewish nation and Esav. And in this way, Lavan and Esav is really the same. They'll be able to corrupt Bnei Israel and divert their attention away from spiritual pursuits and influence them to follow in their ways. And if we follow in their ways, that's the end of Yahadut, that's the end of Judaism. It's over, we're destroyed. Therefore Lavan says to Yaakov, Lecha nichrata brit, ani ve'ata. Let's you and I make a deal. We'll make a pact, a binding pact. You don't know this, Yaakov, but through this pact, I'm going to be able to corrupt your future generations and lead them astray. Ever heard the term, if you can't beat them, join them, Yaakov? Well, I have a better tactic for you folks. If you can't beat them, make them join you. Baruch Hashem, that Yaakov understood Lavan's underlying thoughts and his evil plot. And that's why he was already 2 steps ahead of him. And he outsmarted Lavan. What did Yaakov do? He asked his kinsmen to gather stones. Liktu avanim. He was trying to hint to his household that they're going to have to gather stones, so to speak, in order to do battle against the enemy. That's what David HaMelech did before confronting the giant Goliath. He gathered 5 stones and he went out to the battlefield with a slingshot and with 5 stones. And that's what Yaakov was referring to and advising his family members to do. He said, you have to prepare yourselves with spiritual stones so that you could be ready to do battle against Lavan ha'arami. And the battle you have to be ready for is the one where you don't allow him to come close to you so that you don't learn from his ways and corrupt your holy neshama, your holy soul. That's why the pasuk tells us, Vayikru avanim vayasu gal. They took stones and they made a pile, a gal. This gal became a testimony of what took place on that day. But more than that, through Yaakov's kedusha, this gal represented a way in which Yaakov's children could combat the forces of evil. This gal was like a mechitza shel barzel, like an iron partition that represented the separation that a Jew has to make between Lavan ha'arami, meaning the nations of the world, and the holy nation of Israel. In other words, you have to understand that being a Jew means you're different from the other nations of the world. You have to create a separation. And if you don't make that distinction from the very beginning, you may just get swallowed up by secular ideologies. You may just endanger your neshama with the corrupt ways of Esav. You risk being away from the Jewish encampment. You risk assimilation. Assimilation, by the way, doesn't just mean that, God forbid, you're living with the goyim, you're living like them, being like them, marrying with them. That's not all that assimilation is. Assimilation can be a mental assimilation, where you behave like them, act like them, speak like them, listen to the music that they listen to, go to the places that they visit, but still keep Shabbat. You still keep Taharat HaMishpacha. But all your ways are their ways. That's also a type of assimilation that we see happening in our generation. So Chachamim tell us, at this stage of the game over here, when Lavan realized that Yaakov uncovered his sinister plot, an evil angel appeared who forcibly had to answer Amen, Ken, Yehi Ratzon, to this separation, to this pact, to this gal, this barrier. Lavan realized he was outsmarted, so he had no other choice but to consent to this separation, to the extent that even the bad angel on Lavan's side had to answer Amen. In the same way that we know, it says, the Gemara tells us that every Shabbat, two angels accompany a husband on the way home from shul. When the two angels come to the house, if they see that your house is representing the aura and the spirit of Shabbat, so the good angel, there's a good and bad angel, the good angel has to give you a bracha. He gives you a bracha of that Yehi Ratzon, that every week your house should look like this. Every week the aura and the spirit of Shabbat should be glowing in your home. And the evil angel has to answer Amen Ba'al Kocho. He's forced to do this. Whereas the opposite, if the opposite takes place where your house isn't clean and ready for Shabbat and everything's a balagan and you haven't lit candles yet and you're in a rush and there's no aura and peace of Shabbat, then the bad angel gives that bracha. Every week it should be like this, Yehi Ratzon. And unfortunately, the good angel has to answer also forcibly Amen Ba'al Kocho. Same thing here. In this situation, when Lavan realized he's outsmarted, the angel of evil that was on Lavan's side had to answer Amen to this separation forcibly. So the pact between Yaakov and Lavan ultimately was one where each side agreed not to have to do with the other. Lavan says it himself. He says, "Im ani lo evor elecha et hagal hazeh." Me and my descendants are not going to cross this line. We're not going to cross this gal, this pile of stones. We are going to stay on our side of the fence. ואם אתה לא תעבור אליי את הגל הזה, but neither should you, by the way, cross this gal, this pile, this side of the fence and come to my side. It's got to work both ways. This language in the pasuk is very interesting. Lavan used the word im, if. Why the word im? If I won't cross over to your side, and if you don't cross over to my side, well, what's with the if? Just say, I'm not going to cross this line, and you shouldn't cross it either. Lavan used the word im because anything can happen in this pact. Anything can happen to break it. And what he was trying to say was the following. He says, listen, Yaakov, I won't cross this gal to come to your side, and you shouldn't cross the gal in order to come to my side. But if one of us does cross this gal, the other one will know that it's only to do harm to the other. Why else would I cross the line? So if I or any of my descendants cross this line, you should know, Yaakov, it's because our intentions are to cause you and your descendants harm in some way, shape, or form. And if you cross this gal, I'll know that it's your intentions to assimilate with us, to live with us, and eventually be corrupted from our ways because you're going to want to learn from us. Why else would you cross this line? End of story. End of story. Seems simple enough. Don't cross this line, and I won't cross this line. Ladies, I want to know, what was this gal that Yaakov prepared? What was the significance of this pile that became a barrier that was meant to create a separation, a dividing line between our holiness and the Tumah of Lavan and all his descendants? Chachamim teach us that this gal is actually an inference to that 33rd page, that lag passage where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai spoke disapprovingly about the Roman government. And that 33rd passage, that lag page where the discussion with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai took place, that was something that Yaakov Avinu saw all those years before through divine inspiration, through Ruach HaKodesh. He already saw it. He saw that conversation. He saw that page. Because in this 33rd passage, when Rabbi Shimon spoke the way he did against the Roman Empire, he took a risk. He endangered his life, and he was moser nefesh in order to impart a very important lesson to his fellow colleagues and to the rest of Am Yisrael. That message is the message of the gal that Yaakov erected. It's the same concept. Because what does Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai tell the other rabbis sitting there who were, some of them were praising the Roman Empire's improvements to cultural society? What did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai say? You know what he said? I'll remind you the words and I'll continue what he says. He said, Kol ma shetiknu, lo tiknu ela letzorech atzman. Whatever improvements you think they made to this country, they did so with the intentions of benefiting themselves. He says, you think they built those roads to make it easier for you to travel? No way! Tiknu shevakin lehoshiv bahen zonot. They built those roads to be able to bring in more harlots from the neighboring towns who didn't have an easy time commuting to our side of the neighborhood. You think they built those bathhouses for you to have a place where to stop and wash yourselves? No! Marchetzaot le'aden bahen atzman. They built those bathhouses to make their own lives simpler, to satisfy their own physical needs. And do you really think they built those bridges in order for you to be able to travel safely and efficiently from one side to the river to the other side? No! Gsharim litol mehem meches. They built those bridges in order to collect a toll fee from every person who will want to utilize that bridge And that's how they're going to line their pockets. So nothing that Esav's descendants, these Romans, nothing they're doing is for the benefit of Am Yisrael. Quite the opposite, he tells them. Because as a result of the Romans building these roads, these bathhouses and bridges that appear to ease the life of the citizen while making it more convenient for him, the opposite is true. These roads, bathhouses and bridges are going to cause Bnei Israel to become close to these Rashaim, and eventually they'll mingle with them, learn from their ways, and assimilate. Isn't that what David HaMelech wrote in Sefer Tehillim? ויתערבו בגויים וילמדו ממעשיהם. They mingled with the Gentiles and they learned from their ways. Ladies, this is the reason why Yaakov Avinu specifically chose to build a gal avanim, a pile of stones. Through Ruach HaKodesh, he saw this lag passage in the Gemara. He saw the 33rd Ma'amar of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and he realized what the end result might be. He realized that in the future, Lavan's descendants will do whatever they can to persuade us to cross their bridges, use their roads, bathe in their bathhouses, so to speak, for one purpose: to cause us to mingle with them and eventually assimilate. Yaakov knew that assimilation was the key to the spiritual destruction of Am Yisrael, Chaz v'Shalom. So in order to create a metaphorical and even physical barrier, to make a clear and distinct separation between his children and Lavan ha'Arami, he created this gal avanim, this pile of stones. This gal was supposed to teach all of Yaakov's descendants the lesson of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Yaakov Avinu wanted us to know that this pile of stones, this barrier, this gal, is a barrier that every Jew has to erect in his life in order to protect himself from outside influences. Yaakov Avinu wanted us to follow in the ways of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who himself placed a very distinct separation between Bnei Israel and Bnei Esav, the Romans. And that distinct separation that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai made appears in the lag, in the 33rd passage of the Gemara of Shabbat. Rabbi Shimon taught us that we shouldn't become so excited when the nation of Esav comes up with all these inventions and sites and new places to visit. We shouldn't praise these advancements. Rather, we should do our best to stay clear of the ideology of Lavan and Esav. The Lag passage, the 33rd passage of Rabbi Shimon, is actually the apex of Yaakov Avinu's gal. The entire point of this gal, this pile that represented the separation between Am Yisrael and Lavan, that dividing line, was for us to recognize how important it is for us to stay on our side of the fence. To understand that crossing that gal to the other side means that we're taking Lavan's bait and we're allowing him to begin his spiritual war against us. So the gal of Yaakov culminates with the lag of Rabbi Shimon. They both had the correct kavanot. They both saw a future where Am Yisrael would be lost if they crossed that line. They both tried to make very clear distinctions between Bnei Israel and the nations of the world. And interestingly, Rabbi Shimon's yahrzeit, according to tradition, falls out on the 33rd day of the Omer. Even more interesting, by the way, is if you take the letters Lamed and Gimal, which represent both the 33rd passage of Rabbi Shimon's whole Ma'amar, and it also represents his yahrzeit, as well as the gal, it also represents the pile that Yaakov erected. If you take these letters, Lamed and Gimel, if you spell out the letter Lamed the way it sounds, Lamed, it's spelled out Lamed, Mem, Dalet. That's Lamed. Lamed, Mem, Dalet in Gematria equals 74. If you spell out the letter Gimal, it's comprised of the letters Gimal, Mem, Lamed, Gimel, right? Gimel, Mem, Lamed equals 73 in Gematria. So let's do the math. 74 from the Lamed and 73 from the Gimal equals 147. You know what the number 147 represents? What it is? 147 is Yaakov Avinu's age when he passed away from this world. And that's very significant, because what that means is that his entire 147 years of his life, Yaakov Avinu was busy with the Lamed Gimel, with the Gimel Lamed, with the idea of making a clear distinction between Kedusha and Tumah, between Kodesh and Chol, between Am Yisrael and the Amim. And that goes hand in hand with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who passed away on Lamed Gimel of the Omer. He too spent the majority of his life battling the idea of Am Yisrael's enemies and the war that they wage against us. He wanted us all to know that whatever the Gentile world is offering is only meant to wean you away from Torah, from Hashem, and from your spiritual purpose. And with that thought in mind, I want to tell you something personal. Good news, and also and also one thing you help. Al Sarah, which is our organization, Baruch Hashem, has received an official bracha from Harav Hagaon V'Chashuv Harav David Hanania Pinto Shalita, who is a tremendous tzaddik. He's given us a bracha to expand our organization and take it to the next level. And what that means is that we're going to be Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach purchasing a small home in Lakewood, New Jersey, which will not only function as a home where we could host women for Shabbat and Chagim, but also create more functions, make more people outside of the New York area have the ability to learn Torah, bring more awareness of Judaism, and help teenagers to connect more to the Torah Kedosha. In addition, ladies, there is an ever-growing community of women in retirement age there in New Jersey who are looking for ways to enhance their spirituality, and we want to make that happen for them. You know, you get to an older age and unfortunately you become lonelier and you're looking for places to go and things to do, and we want to make that available to the older women as well. And Rav Pinto Shalita has promised that anybody who will help support this expansion, and not only expanding in New Jersey, but we're trying so hard to reach various communities around the world. He's given his word that whoever endeavors to help us reach the Jewish women, help them, and create in them hope and happiness, will himself merit the tremendous simcha and nisim, to miracles. So we're asking the women, I'm asking the women, to band together and help make this expansion happen. Help me spread Torah even further. Right now, we have a campaign that's going to take us through the entire summer, where we need to raise $18,000 for the coming year. That's all, believe it or not, just $18,000. That's not a lot. There are organizations that are asking for $100,000, $200,000. We just are asking for $18,000 throughout the summer. This $18,000 will help us with the yearly expenses of that new Torah center we want to create in New Jersey. If 18 of you gave $1,000 each, which would be a nest, we'll be done collecting and we can move on to stage 2. Wouldn't that be amazing? Or even if a group of you came together and collected $1,000 and gave it to us and helped bring us to get to that $18,000, that can help us get moving and going a lot faster and without the financial burden that we face. So I'm urging every woman to please help me. I know that many of you have given generously in the past, and you have done so with so much love and such a graciousness, and you have no clue how much I appreciate it. I know that I ask you Rosh Hashanah time, I know that I ask you Purim time to contribute, and many of you helped us with those campaigns which were, Baruch Hashem, so successful, so successful. You don't know how much happiness you brought to the lives of so many people with your generosity. But this project is a project that's going to help us, help you and me be a part of something so different, so unique. You're going to be a part of the expansion of Sarah's tent, of Sarah's ohel. More women will now be able to reap the rewards of Torah. More chesed is going to be wrought in other parts of the globe. More women will be reached and helped. More programs and events can be created that will help many young women and girls. But most importantly, I always say, if the women are going to help bring the Mashiach, if in their merit we're going to facilitate the Geulah, the redemption, we need more woman power, man power, woman power. We need many more women on board, doing, helping, spreading Torah, donating, being a part of this, partaking in this grand expansion. If we're going to create hope, if we're going to create the will to persevere in another woman, I need your help. I'm asking you to be my partner in this great chesed of creating another base in another state for women to learn Torah and have a second home that they can call their own. I'm asking you to help me because I cannot do this alone. And I want to be honest with you. And you know that in all my shiurim, I never held anything back from you. I've always been very upfront with you, and I always tell you the emet bapanim. But the truth is that most of this project is funded by me personally. I'm taking most of the financial responsibility on my head. There you have it. That's the truth. And what that means is that I've never been the kind of person who fundraises a lot of money and then uses all that money to benefit all Sarah while living a very carefree life with no worries. Oh, let that money take care of this and take care of that. No, that is not my way at all, ladies. That is not my way. I believe that every organizer, every rebbitzin, every rabbi who has a shul, who has an organization, whatever they're doing that is a zikui harabim, they have to bear the financial responsibilities as well. I cannot allow all the women and all the men of Am Yisrael who have their own financial responsibilities to be the only ones carrying this burden while I sit worry-free and have my, cappuccino or my chamomile tea. No, it's not right. It's not right to do that. I feel that part of utilizing my own personal funds and using very little from the people around me shows HaKadosh Baruch Hu that first and foremost, we're not greedy. We are not greedy people. And secondly, I want to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that not only that I'm want to share the responsibility with Klal Yisrael, but I'm willing to carry most of the burden on my shoulders. I don't use Ohel Sarah funds for anything else but Ohel Sarah, period. And I hope you know what that means. I hope you know what that means. Funds that come in are used only and only to enhance our programs, to facilitate more learning, to create more events, to pay our monthly bills, to help people in need. That's all. That's all. So what I want you to know basically is that when you donate to Ohel Sarah, you know that the funds are being used solely and purely for the good of the women of Am Yisrael. And guess what? Even the men. Yes. You know how many men have called the Ohel Sarah office because their wives forced them to listen to the Shalom Bayit classes that I gave, which were posted on Torah Anytime, and now they're posted on Ohel Sarah also, and they needed advice? Plenty of guys called this office who had to schmooze with them and talk to them and give them advice. You know how many little boys come to us with problems in their homes and they needed a place just to feel cared for? Many. Although we cater to women primarily, but the little boys, the teenagers, they benefit from our efforts. There have been so many times where we called upon a group of boys to come help us set up for big events because we needed strong arms to help us schlep tables, chairs, move furniture. These boys came, they helped in the kitchen. You should have seen them. They were cutting with me tomatoes and onions and cucumbers. Some of them were setting up tables, putting out tablecloths, napkins, dishes, putting the salatim, distributing them before the women came. And what do you think was happening while they were working? I was schmoozing with them about life, about their challenges. We're having a good time. And I was offering them not only advice, but I saw that they felt they were in a warm and happy environment that they can call home, a second home. I remember one of them once came in and he plopped on the couch with his feet up. And I said to him, I'm glad you're making yourself feel at home. I'm so happy to see that. That's the feeling we want every person who walks through our doors to feel. Ohel Sarah is not just a Torah center, ladies. It's a home. We dafka never wanted to move into a place with cold walls. I've been given opportunities to make our center in various shuls or in a room somewhere in somebody's back office or whatever. I didn't want an uninviting feeling. I didn't want cold walls. I didn't want a shul. We dafka didn't want a building. I specifically chose a home because we want the people who walk in to feel that they are at home. We want them to experience the same warm and secure feeling that they would feel if they were walking into their own house. We want to duplicate a house. And the women feel that when they come in. They walk in, they open the fridge, get themselves a fruit. If they want, they know they can rummage through the cabinets for whatever they want, napkins, cups. That's the feeling I want to project. But the point is, we want our place to be a house, to look like a house, to feel like a house, to give the experience of a home. We want our organization to function from a bayit. And so we're now purchasing a bayit, Baruch Hashem. Yes, you can clap along. Yeah, please do. Clap, 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 clap. In Lakewood, New Jersey, with the bracha of Rav David Hanania Pinto. A bayit that, as I confessed honestly before, I'll be managing financially pretty much all on my own. But I need your help. Whatever you contribute will help so much. So we are opening a special account for the new house called Bayit Ne'eman. Whatever funds you send, and we need to raise $18,000 by the beginning of September. As long as you mark the donation as Bayit Ne'eman, we will put those funds directly into that special account, save it there, and it's going to be used throughout the entire year of the rest of 2019 and 2020, which will help with the expenses of the new Ohel Sarah home. And our hope, of course, is that every year we could raise this money in order to continue to do our good work. So ladies, if you want to be my partner, if you want to help me create a Bayit Ne'eman for many more women, please log on to www.ohelsarah, Sarah's without an add an H, ohelsarah.com, and click on the donate button. That's going to reroute you to PayPal, and over there in PayPal you can indicate that the donation is for the Beit Ne'eman campaign. If you do not have a PayPal account, please do not pay with your credit card through PayPal, because we don't receive credit card payments through PayPal. Instead, you can call the Oel Sarah office at 718-500-4550, 718-500-4550, and someone will take the donation over the phone. And also, if you would rather send in a check, a tax-deductible check, please also call our offices and we will give you the address where to send the check to. We're looking to raise $18,000. It's not a lot of money, ladies, for the whole year, by the beginning of September, which is when we're officially going to be in Lakewood, New Jersey, Be'ezrat Hashem. I want to give you a bracha before we continue the shiur, which means don't turn off your monitors or your cell phones after this bracha, because I still have to go back to the shiur. I want to give you a bracha. In the zchut of your donation, Yeh Ratzon, in the zchut of you helping me create a Beit Ne'eman, you should experience Shalom. You should experience peace and harmony in your homes. You should see nachat from your bait, from your children and grandchildren, and be zocheh to see generations of children flourishing in Torah and Ruchaniyut. May love, happiness, and parnasah, sustenance, increase in your bait, in your home, and may you merit together with me to see the ultimate bait built in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, Be'ezrat Hashem, this year. We won't have to move to New Jersey, Be'ezrat Hashem. I want to conclude with this thought. And I want to thank you so much for your patience. You even give me the time of day to listen to my speeches. I want to conclude with this thought about Lag BaOmer and the pile that Yaakov erected. Although Lag BaOmer is the yahrzeit, it's a yahrzeit of one of the biggest Tanaim in our history. So it's a sad day because he passed away. Even though the 33rd day of the Omer marks the end of the mourning period for the loss of Rabbi Akiva's 24,000 students who died during the 33 days of the Omer, and that's pretty sad too. Lag BaOmer is a day of celebration. How is that possible? How's that possible? And there are various answers given by Chachamim. One of the answers is that because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar HaKadosh in that cave, which he had to run away to because of the derogatory statements he made against the Roman Empire, wanting to teach Am Yisrael to create that dividing line between us and Esav. This Zohar HaKadosh that he wrote in that cave, those chidushim, those Torah insights that reveal the mysteries and secrets of Torah, those insights brought tremendous light to the world. Says the Ari, this world became illuminated in a way that you cannot possibly imagine because of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's teachings. When the depths of Torah are revealed, when we begin to understand the logic and the mysteries behind the wonders of creation, it fills our neshama with inspiration and it leads us closer to the Ribono Shel Olam. It opens up a world beyond our world. It infuses us with a yearning and a longing to remain close to that spiritual place. All these chidushim empower the neshama with the ability to remain close to home, to stay behind the gal, behind the barrier on our side of the fence. The more we learn Torah, the more we want to remain in the Jewish encampment. The more careful we are to create our own personal gal that protects us from crossing lines into territories that we don't belong in, the more we have Kedusha. And if that's what Rabbi Shimon's Chidushim created in us, if that intense light affects us and it prompts us to remain Kedoshim, this is indeed cause for celebration. We have to celebrate Judaism. We have to celebrate the Jewish faith and the Jewish soul. We have to rejoice in the Kedusha that we possess and the barriers that we put up to safeguard that Kedusha. You have to be happy. You have to be proud of that. That is indeed a celebration. Yehi Ratzon, ladies, that we should all merit to remain in the Machaneh HaKadosh. That we should never wander far from that encampment, and instead remain close to the tzaddikim of the generation, close to the words of Torah, and Be'ezrat Hashem, in the zchut of remaining in the Ohalei Yaakov. Ma tovu. May we see with our own eyes the ultimate separation of evil from good, and with it witness the light of Mashiach. Amen. Ken. Yehi Ratzon.